Hey guys, All in Crypto here and welcome back ladies and gentlemen for another YouTube video. I hope you've all had a fantastic week so far. Today guys, we're going to be diving straight into Cardano and we're going to go over a number of things in this video. There is lots going on in the chart, so we're going to spend the majority of this video really focused on the chart. So we're going to look at a number of different time frames. We're going to look at some shorter ones and some longer ones. We're going to look at this from a macro and a micro perspective, and we're going to look at a number of other cryptocurrencies to see if we can relate the kind of movements that they've made and the kind of blueprint to Cardano. We're going to look at Ethereum, because Ethereum had much the same thing. It had this kind of horizontal triangle or ascending triangle that we believe you're currently in for Cardano, and has actually broken to the upside. We know that Ethereum potentially is Bitcoin is really the driver of space in the value, and this is a video I made a while ago now at the start of the year talking about why Ethereum was going to get to $4,000 in May. It did indeed get there, and in this video I was talking about the flow of money into the crypto space. We know that Bitcoin led the charge out of the recovery, followed by Ethereum, and then it kind of permissions the altcoins to run. So it trickles down via market caps, and Ethereum has essentially broken out of a structure that we're potentially in now for Cardano. This is a bullish continuation structure, this horizontal or ascending triangle. We're going to look at Solana, because we're going to take a look at what Solana did after it broke its all-time highs and how it came back to retest them before springboarding off them. We're going to, of course, look at Bitcoin, and we're going to look at Cardano on a number of different time frames and map out a couple of theories and where potentially we could be. We're going to lay it all on the line in this video, ladies and gentlemen, and give you a non-biased view of how things are looking, and kind of, show you what's going on. Before I start, guys, if you can just bear with me a moment, I really want to read you this quote. And this is a quote from Henry Ford, one of the richest men of his era, an American fellow. And we all know Ford Motors. This was somebody who would have been in the know and with the people that were essentially in charge of monetary policy and business and stuff like that. And this is a quote. It is well enough that the people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary systems. For if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before the morning. Cryptocurrencies are offering us an olive branch and a little bit of light in a very dark system. It really amazes me how most people out there are willing to give the majority of their life up for money, for fiat, and yet they never sort of peer behind the veil and take a look at how this money comes into existence, the policies behind it, etc., etc. And I think if you really take a step back and look into it, there's that famous meme where somebody Googles the Federal Reserve and then Googles how to buy Bitcoin after. Cryptocurrencies are offering humanity a real olive branch to get away from a monetary system that I believe has enslaved the majority of the population. So that's a little side note, just some food for thought before we get into this video. So what I want to do, guys, we're going to start on a smaller time frame. Now, if you guys aren't already following me on Twitter, we posted this quote on there. We essentially said a few days back now, look, you're potentially forming an ascending or a horizontal, you can really call it either, triangle, more of a horizontal triangle, I'd probably use that term. And these are bullish continuation patterns, and we're in a bull run, and this is essentially how you've played out. So you have indeed coiled up within it. Ethereum, the reason I bring Ethereum up is because Ethereum did pretty much the exact same thing, guys. You had this kind of horizontal triangle that you've essentially now broken out of to the upside. You are finding a little bit of resistance up here, but one thing I want to notice is Ethereum on the daily actually came back pretty nicely to its EMA. Cardano is still largely overextended, and we're going to get into the daily time frame in a second. So this is still a bullish continuation structure. You had a falling wedge here that you broke out of. Are you potentially in another falling wedge right now, guys? There is the potential of that. Certainly if this thing continues to go lower. Falling wedges come in many different structures. They don't have to all be as steep as perhaps the one that we've just gone through. But you've got a number of things at play here. And there's a number of contradicting factors as well, because if we look at the RSI, guys, you can see you actually have got a bit of bearish divergence here where your candle body made a kind of higher high in terms of a candle close, but your RSI is going down, and this could typically lead to a bit of a sell-off. We're going to get into the RSI on the daily time frame a little bit more when we look at the kind of macro Elliot wave theory that we have in play for this bull run. So Ethereum, potentially could be leading the market. You guys know that I've shown you this video before where we kind of spoke about the flow of money into markets and that Ethereum. We know in this recovery, Bitcoin really led the charge, and then Ethereum did, and then altcoins kind of caught up and in actual fact outperformed, because that's what altcoins are going to do. Ethereum is going to outperform Bitcoin. Cardano is going to probably outperform. In fact, I'm pretty certain that it's going to outperform both Ethereum and Bitcoin, and a large part of this has to do with the market caps, but also what's going on with the underlying projects. How used are they? What are the use cases that are opening up for them, etc., etc. So that's where we're at on the 4 hourly time frame, guys. There's lots going on. You do seem to be kind of popping out the other side of this horizontal triangle. What I often see is a real kind of pop, final flush out before you get that continuation. You break kind of back into this triangle, so you might get a flush out, you break in before you get continuation out of that kind of falling wedge, if you will. So that's something that's quite common to see. One thing to note, even though you are breaking out of the kind of ascending support here to the downside, you can see really the buying pressure. Look at these wicks, guys, and how far these candles have been moved. And this is typical. You'll typically see this when you have kind of buying strength, you have a kind of floor, and you've also got this 50 EMA. Lots of people use the 21 and the 55 EMA. I use the 20 and the 50 because not many people, it's not their first kind of port of call, and they seem to work pretty well. And ultimately, you are in a bull market, guys, and this thing could continue, and you could set up a similar structure, and this is kind of what we're expecting, something you set up here, guys, where you kind of just make new lower lows, they're marginal, before finding your support and really seeing that continuation. And that really, this could be what you're seeing. And notice you hold the 50 as the support, or you do it every time you sell below in an uptrending market, and that's potentially where you could be today, guys. So there is definitely the possibility of more upside. There are a number of reasons why this market could continue to go sideways and in actual fact sell off a little bit. Now, note that Ethereum had sort of reset with its EMA on the daily. It come down to it, and you always come down, no matter what chart it is, guys, in an uptrending market. You'll always come down. You'll find an equilibrium moment to this EMA, and it will kind of act as support before you get continuation. That's how these 20 EMAs work in an uptrending, and in a downtrending they act as resistance. You'll kind of come up and hit your head off it and fall lower, and Ethereum and Bitcoin have both done that. Whereas Cardano, because of how the kind of gains you saw here, and let's remind everyone, because some people are getting a little bit annoyed with the fact that it's not really doing a lot, but in a month, Cardano's up nearly 200%, guys. You don't get that kind of trading really anywhere, or you don't get that kind of return on your investment anywhere. So it's done a lot. We can allow it to have a little bit of a rest. But what I want to kind of talk to you about now, guys, I'm going to look at Solana in a second, because Cardano could be doing essentially the same thing that Solana's kind of already done. Is we're going to talk about this kind of Elliott wave structure that we have, and you guys know that I follow Elliott wave. It's worked, and we've been able to map this market out very accurately so far. We're predicting that you are on your fifth and final wave, and your fifth and final wave is going to fall between the length of your 3 and your 1 wave. It could actually overperform, given how bull markets kind of finish in the crypto space, and given that commodities usually have a higher fifth wave than a third wave, but traditionally the third wave is always your biggest one within your Elliott wave theory. And ultimately, guys, I think potentially you've made your 1 wave out of here. Now, within these larger Elliott waves, so your 1 wave and your 3 wave, you've got the Elliott wave theory playing out before you enter an ABC correction. And what I want to do, guys, I want to show you every time you break your prior kind of previous or local highs in these particular cases, but now we're at our all-time highs. Let's make this a little bit thicker so that we can really see what's going on here. Can you see this? So this was your 1 wave. You come up, you break your all-time highs, and then you come back to back test it before kind of going sideways and using your EMA as support. The second time you do that, guys, you do a very similar thing. So can you see this? You come up, you break above it, you come back for the back test, and you kind of come along and you reacquaint with your EMAs before setting up for more continuation. So if we look at where we are today, and this is what could be potentially setting up, guys, you can use the candle body, or you can use here. You've had a retest from the candle body, which did definitely sort of act as resistance on the way up. but you've not had one from the candle body. You've had it from the candle wick. You've not had one from the candle body. So there is the potential for that. That would also perfectly kind of coincide with this EMA. But if you look, guys, you're really doing the same thing that you did in your 1 wave and your 2 wave. You're coming up. You've broken. You're in price discovery. You potentially already come back for that retest. People calling for this as an ABC correction, by the way, guys. I'm not convinced. Look at where your candle body closed. Yes, you didn't make new all-time highs in terms of the actual where the price actually got to, but your candle body certainly closed lower. So that kind of rules out a bit of a ABC correction after this kind of 1 wave within your 5th wave. But ultimately, there is definitely room, and this would be unorthodox if you didn't kind of come back to it before then setting up on your 3 wave, which is going to take you well above $5, I believe. You've also still got your Alonzo hard fork that's coming out on the 12th of September. So there's lots going on. I hope you guys are seeing this. You've got your bullish patterns, you've got your bearish signals, you've got your kind of will history repeat, and like I say, the last 2 impulsive waves ended in a certain way. Is it not fair to say that this one is going to follow suit? But then again, this whole market, in many respects, if we look at Bitcoin, many people are calling for a bear market due to the fact that Bitcoin's sell-off was 55%, and that was unorthodox in comparison with 2017, which only saw a maximum of like 42% sell-offs. So there is definitely a bit of room for an orthodoxy here. You could keep climbing from here, but there's always 2 scenarios, and hopefully what this video is doing is preparing you for both. Let's take the one that I'm more biased towards, and that is that we do actually see continuation here. It's all dependent on the rest of the market, of course, mainly Bitcoin. If Bitcoin decides it wants to throw a temper tantrum, lots of people speculating on this Sunday sell-off, this September sell-off, talking about the markets have sold off every September, and it's based on probability and how many times the market has sold off on September. It's more likely than it isn't that you're going to sell off this September, but it doesn't have to happen. It's not a perfect science. You could continue, and given the kind of where we are as a market, remember 2017 was a completely different market to where we're at today in terms of leverage, in terms of institutions involved, in terms of a wide variety of things, accessibility, you name it. So these markets are going to have their own characteristics. So we might not see that September sell-off. It is a probability though, however. We're just going to have to watch and see. So we could see the continuation, we could see the break from this, much the same as Ethereum is doing currently. Talking about Solana, which we actually ignored, we did say we were going to talk about it. Now, I want to also show you what happens when you break your all-time highs, and Cardano potentially could be using this as a bit of a schematic, if you will. Important to note that Solana held up very, very well. Solana's heavily backed by FTX, which is a rising exchange. I use it for trading. I don't keep any of my crypto on an exchange just because I think it's better to practice self-custody. But Solana is, I find, very reasonable fees. I've not even got a referral link to them. And they are actually, they handled, when everything crashed, they handled that crash very, very well, which I liked, and that's a good sign. So in regards to Cardano, could you be seeing, or in regards to Solana, sorry guys, could you be seeing, can you see this? This was the sell-off. Can you see this? This was the sell-off. Let's get rid of that for now. Solana. So you come back, you come up, you pierce above, you come back for that retest before going up and kind of fizzling out before we then pop out the other side. Could Cardano be doing a very similar thing? I mean, it's absolutely possible, guys. These markets tend to rhyme in many ways. So could you be, you've come up, you've come back down for a retest, you've come up again, you kind of consolidate and come into your EMAs in the kind of apex. Could you be doing that? You've come up, you've come down, and then you're kind of fizzling out before we get some kind of a break to the upside in a bull market. I mean, that's absolutely possible. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'd be interested to know some of your thoughts. My bias is still that we break to the upside. A breakout is coming, guys, whether that be to the downside or the upside. I think the upside's more likely. I think if we do break to the downside, You know, we'll get on here, we'll make a video, keep you up to date on the Twitter as well, and we'll kind of update you on where some support levels are going to be. Just target local or swing highs and lows in this market for some pretty good ranges. So that's really all I have for you. So we've covered Ethereum, the fact that Ethereum set up a really similar structure to what we've just currently gone through in Cardano and actually broke to the upside. Obviously got very low in this candle, in this structure, and Cardano is doing very much a similar thing today, and we could see that break. You know, you got a bit of a falling wedge forming as well. So we're still biased bull. I think Solana shows a few interesting telltale signs of how this could be working. Like I say, Ethereum leading the way. You've got Solana that maybe shows a schematic. It's got a way smaller market cap. I think it's like a fourth of Cardano's market cap, so it's going to move a lot faster. But ultimately, guys, we're still biasing towards the upside. There are many contradictory factors, but ultimately we'll be fine with both. If it does sell off and do a similar thing to what you've done on your previous impulsive waves, that for many of you is just a fantastic buying opportunity. And I know there's plenty of people out there that have just waited for one more payday. Is it payday today, by the way, for most people, guys? I'm not really. Do you get paid on the last month or the last day of the month, or is it the last one of the days within the last month that you get paid? Payday could be a catalyst. You know, we tend to see a bit of a bump in the markets when people get paid because, of course, they've got money to invest. So we'll see how this plays out. But there's lots of contradictory factors. We're still biased towards the bullish side of things. Ultimately depends on the rest of the market. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. Remember that quote, guys, from Henry Ford, because that still rings true today. In fact, truer today than it ever has. That's all I have for you in this video, guys. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. I hope you found this useful and entertaining. I've not just waffled on too much. Leave me some feedback in the comments, guys. I want to know your thoughts on this channel, whether good or bad. All feedback is useful. This channel's here for you guys, and it's you guys that are going to steer the direction of it. That's all I have for you in this video, guys. Watch out for the Sunday swap video that we've got coming out after this. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. If you found the content useful and entertaining, a like and a comment is always appreciated, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot for watching, ladies and gentlemen.